Already got people here. How about that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see if we're going to go live here. Ooh, looks like we may actually be live. How about that, everybody? Let's see who is here. We got some people here already. We're doing a test, another YouTube test. Oh, good. I'm getting all kinds of notifications. Welcome, everyone. We are streaming on both of my YouTube channels simultaneously tonight. Home Recording Made Easy and Mixing Music Analog. Let me know if you can hear me okay. You could see me great. Can you hear me okay? How's the audio sound? How's it sound? Does it sound good? Does it not sound good? I want to see if I can do this. That should work. Oh, okay, I can see. All right, I can see what channels. Or no, that doubles up on the comments. We'll have to see how that kind of works. Hey, Andy, how are you? Andy from Thunder Creek is here. So we are testing a new streaming software. Well, not new, but an updated streaming software that I have, my updated streaming software. And with the new update, we have the ability now to stream to 2 different channels at the same time, as well as Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Twitter, if you decided to do that. And I've never streamed to both of my YouTube channels at the same time. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of do that. I thought it might be fun to just get on here, see how all of this works. I'm interested to see how the comment sections are going to kind of work. Do I know which? I can't tell. When I write a comment, it actually doubles up on both of the channels, which is interesting. You can hear me? Okay, that's great. I just want to check both channels here. So we got a couple of people on each one of the channels, but I can't tell from the comments what channel you're watching when you're commenting to me. Not that that really matters, but it's just something interesting. So anyway, Andy from Thunder Creek Studios is here. How you doing? Braxel's here. How are you? Tortilla Man is here. How are you? Hope you guys are all doing well. So I thought I would come and hang out. It's been a while, especially at Home Recording Made Easy. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I've been so busy. And even on Mixing Music Analog, I haven't done a live stream. I did one live stream about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We just did kind of an impromptu, unscheduled stream, and a bunch of people showed up and had a bunch of questions and wanted to chat. So I thought I would try this again and kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and then also let all of you know, if you have not seen the emails going out already, that we are in the middle of the pre-sale for the hybrid mixing course over at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. As a matter of fact, I should be able to put that link in the chat for you guys, so you guys can check it out. So homerecordingmadeeasy.com, we have our hybrid mixing course. And that is, here we go. Let me put this in the chat for you guys. Hopefully this will work. Does it work? Maybe not. I'll put it in this chat. Anyway, we are in the middle of the pre-sale, which means if you want access to the course at $100 discount, this week is the time to buy it. It'll go live inside of your account. Let me just put these in here in this chat. It'll go live inside of your account on March 1st at 10 a.m. or 12 noon Eastern. Okay, so there's the links in the chat. If you want to check out the hybrid mixing course that is being released next week, you could save $100 this week only. Click the link in either one of the in the chat there and go check it out. You're going to use a coupon code SAVE100. We'll take $100 off either one of the course packages. And to everyone that's already purchased it, and a whole bunch of you have already bought it Monday and Tuesday, thank you very much in advance for your support. I so appreciate it, and trust me, you are going to absolutely love this mixing course. This is probably the most in-depth, and the one I'm probably the most proud of, and I've done a lot of them over the years. So definitely go check that out and get it this week, because once this week is over, it goes back to regular price, and it's not going to be $100 off ever again. I can promise you that. So I want to give everyone first dibs on it. Go check it out. If anyone has any questions, anything you want to chat about, anything you want to ask me about, now's the time to do it. This is really cool that we are on both of the YouTube channels simultaneously. Mixing music analog and home recording made easy. So we're merging the two families together, even though most of you kind of follow me on both. But for the ones that are only on one or the other, if you didn't know, we have two YouTube channels. I'll try to blow this up a little bit so I can see it a little bit better. Yes, Andy, we are on MMA and we are on home recording made easy. And all my comments seem to be coming into one place. Isn't that something special? Let me scroll down here and make sure that I can see everybody. Okay, who else is here? David S.J. Hey, Dave, how you doing, brother? Kurt's here. Hey, Kurt. All right, Andy again. Jimmy Farmer. Hey, Jimmy Farmer. How are you, my friend? Thank you for sending that mix. I got to listen to Jimmy's mix today where he replaced all the Foo Fighter guitars. Because he thinks he's a better guitar player than the guys that did it. And I'm sure you are, actually. So I'm interested to hear that. That'll be a lot of fun. Bobby Booth, Mastering Services and Mixing Services. How are you, brother? Good to see you. Harley Bob is here. Buck 88 Keys is here. YouTube home recording. Yeah, you guys are watching from two different channels. That's really cool. I wish I could tell. Hey, Raphael, I wish I could tell when I see the comment which channel it's coming from. I can't, which I guess is no big deal, but I'm just curious to know. Tortilla Man wants to know if this is an SSL. Yes, this is an SSL Origin, a 32 channel, 32 channel inline console. If you want to know more about it, you want to learn all about what I do with this and how we installed it and everything else, make sure you go to the Mixing Music Analog YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and go binge watch all the videos. I think there's probably over 100 videos on that channel as of now. There was 90 some odd at the end of December, and we've done a few more since then, and there's a lot more to come, and we do an in-depth look at the SSL and how you install it and all the cabling and the cable management, and there's a whole bunch of videos watching it being pulled off the truck. Dave's got two. You got both chats open. Okay, Dave. Yeah, I got them both. They're all kind of combining here in Ecamm, so I can see them all. I just don't know what channel they're coming from. And again, not that that really matters, but that's really cool. Oh, Andy says you just got Ricky Skaggs coming up for sound. Oh, I'd be real excited about that, Andy. Good for you, brother. Good for you. Andy does all that live sound stuff, man. He's like a full-time live sound engineer. So how's the video look and how is the audio sound over here? It looks okay. I think the video looks okay. I got all my typical lights on. It's hard to tell, though. But it should look okay. That's great, Andy. Good for you, man. Really, really good for you. I'm really proud of you, brother. I'm really proud of you. That's awesome. Bobby says, I see you got some new hardware. Yeah, well, no, you mean all that? I mean, not all of it's new, but there is a couple of new pieces in there. That's for sure. There's, on the top up here, where is it? Right there. That is a Pultec style tube equalizer called the Empress by Gain Audio Labs. It is it's a Pultec style EQ, but it has an additional midband in it, which makes it really cool. And what makes it really super cool, it also has an additional tube saturation circuit that's independent from the rest of the EQ that you could turn on and tune off. Awesome on the master bus. That's a really, really good thing there. Let's see. Sounds great watching on your iPhone. All right, man. Everything looks good. Okay, cool. And then underneath that, you'll see another piece there. That is the Audioscape 260 VU, which is the replica of the DBX stereo, the DBX 160 stereo compressor. Really, really awesome. I love that thing on vocals, by the way. I was experimenting with it recently. Those are new. Everything else in the rack has pretty much been there for a while. The two on top are the latest of the groupings of stuff that's come in. And there's not much else. I think there's one more compressor coming probably in the next few weeks. I won't talk about it now. I'll wait till it gets here. And then that's really it as far as gear goes. I got a lot of gear, man. Got a lot of gear and mixing lots of records with them. And it's really, really awesome. I really finally have gotten, I think I'm really close to getting this whole system just dialed in and sounding really good and optimized and everything else. So I'm having a lot of fun. And yeah, it just sounds great, man. It just sounds great. But yeah, stay tuned to the channel, Mixing Music Analog, for more gear demos and such. Let's see. Mark says, "Hey, Mark, I've been looking to hire someone to critique my mixes. I respect your work. Do you offer that service?" Yes, I do, Mark. At homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Go to the coaching page, I believe it is. And there are a bunch of services that I do, everything from one-on-one Zoom calls to mix critiques to mixing and mastering packages and those kinds of things. So I absolutely do that. Absolutely. So if you want me to work with you on your mixes, absolutely go ahead and check it out there, and we can work together in many different ways. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see, what else? How many people we got watching here? So we got about 17 watching at home recording media. Oh, I think I could see all that. Okay, we got 29 watching here between, can I see which channels? Just curious. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So we got 16 at Home Recording Made Easy, and we have 14 at Mixing Music Analog. All right, we have a competition, man. So we need a few more Mixing Music Analog, and we need some more thumbs up on each one of those channels for sure. Each one of those channels. Let's see what other comments we got here. Oh yeah, Bob, you were talking about those top 2 pieces. Yep, those are there, and those are new. And yeah, they're great, man. If you're looking for some really good, if you're looking for a really good hardware EQ, like a stereo EQ, that Gain Lab audio thing is out of sight, man. It is out of sight. I highly, highly recommend it for sure. Let's see. Braxel says, "How is your trid off or whatever is working?" Oh, you're talking about the trid off. It's working great, man. You can't see it, I don't think. It's sitting right over there underneath those lamps there. It's in a rack. Works fantastic, man. It works fantastic. If you have not seen the 2 videos that I did on it, go ahead and check those out. But yeah, you know what it is? It's you kind of set it and forget it. You know, you take the measurement in the room, you get everything dialed in. I'm going to do some more videos on it soon. I'm going to take you guys through the app and show you what it does and all of that pretty soon. But yeah, once it's dialed in, you just kind of set it and forget it, and everything just kind of works. And the one thing that it's really done for me is it really has opened up the clarity of what's coming out of those speakers is unbelievable. And you could hear the depth of reverb a lot more. It's really astonishing. I don't know I mean, it's all a computer program that's obviously doing it a computer. What kind of code or whatever they wrote to do that, but it's absolutely fantastic. It just is. I'm really happy with it. I know it was pricey, but I'll tell you what, after working with it, I don't know how I could work without it, you know? Brian says, "Hey, Brian, what's up, buddy? Imperial Labs Fatso versus the Neve tape emulations. I know you've had the Neves. How about the Fatso?" I've never used the Fatso, but again, I know it's got a really good reputation, but I've never used it. And I think they make that in a mono and a stereo unit, I believe. I think they're 2 different things that emulate kind of the same thing. The Neves I really like, but I've never tried the Fatso myself. I would think you would be happy, Bri, with either one of them. I would be shocked if you got either one of them and didn't like them, you know. And I know, Brian, I sent you an email the other day. I followed up with you. I don't know if you got it. I know you have a bunch of questions, and we should probably hook up at one point and talk about that stuff. Unless you want to talk about it here on Zoom, because to write all that detail in an email, it would probably leave you with more questions than answers. So I'd like to help you a little bit more effectively if we can. Let's see. Andy says, "So question, David, since you got the SSL, do you still use analog plugins like tape and such?" When I work in the box and do you mean do I use analog plugins while I'm using the SSL? Or do you mean when is that what you mean? I think that might be what you mean, Andy. The answer to your question is there are a handful of plugins that I use in the box in conjunction with the SSL. Not many. No more tape machine plugins because I have the Neves. But prior to the Neves, I was using a tape machine plugin. I do have a couple, like a stereo widener that I use. And occasionally I'll use things like a transient designer. I'm still using things like Slate Trigger 2 for drum sample augmentation. And then every now and again, and sometimes I'll use a reverb or a delay. Even though I have hardware reverbs and delays, sometimes I like the plugins depend on a specific, circumstance. So I do use some plugins, but not many, not with all this, not many, if that's what you mean. If you mean, am I using it with the SSL? So I am hybrid, meaning we have a DAW, we have some plugins, and then we use hardware, but it's more hardware than it is plugins for sure. Bobby says he'd love to get hardware, but can't afford it right now. Well, the thing is, you wait until you get one piece at a time. The good thing about hardware or going hybrid is you could start with one piece, and then over time, as you get more budget, you can expand, and it's scalable, right? You don't have to go out and just you don't have to go out and buy all of this. You don't have to do that, obviously. You could start with one piece at a time. Let's see. You prefer rack gear over 500 series? Yeah, it's funny you asked that question because I just did a Q&A episode, I think goes live on our channel in the next couple of weeks. That question has been asked so many times of me, and I answered it in the upcoming video. The answer is I think they're the same. People have asked me, do the 500 series stuff sound as good as the rack mounted, the full rack, gear counterparts? The few that I've compared, I don't hear a difference. That's not to say that there isn't some gear out there where the full rack gear, which is typically considerably more expensive than the 500 module, could sound better, maybe because the full rack gear has more room inside of the chassis, so maybe they have additional transformers or things that maybe they don't always have in the 500 gear. So I'm sure there's probably some gear like that, but the stuff that I've tried, I think the 500 gear sounds equally as good. But I don't have a whole lot of experience in comparing apples to apples 1-to-1 where I had both at the same time. But the 500 series stuff is a great way. It's a great way to get into hardware because the cost of entry is much less expensive. Once you buy that 500 chassis, and whether you have 6 slots or 10 slots or what have you, then each one of those modules you're going to pay less for over time. It's a cheaper cost over time. And I haven't gotten a 500 module that I didn't like. I never got a piece of gear for the 500 series and went, I don't like that. So I think you would be okay. Do you rely on plugins for delay and reverb and chorus? I do not see modulation hardware in your studio that I can see. I don't have modulation. Oh, I have two hardware delay units and 2 reverb units hardware that are patched into the console. So I can use that. I don't have any chorus or modulation hardware. There I would use plugins. And then, like I said, sometimes I won't use the delay on the board. I'll use a plugin depending on what it is. So I'm not afraid to use reverb and delay, choruses or, any kind of special effects in plugins. Because I have a lot of, plugins that sound fantastic. And so I don't have to have hardware for that. But I do have hardware, reverbs, and delays. Where would you tell someone to focus if they move into the hybrid setup? In retrospect, I think I should have started on my analog 2-bus. Funny you asked that. Hi, Michael. How are you? That's another question that comes up in the Q&A. See, when I do those Q&A videos and I say these questions get asked all the time, they get asked all the time. And I answered that one as well. And I'll answer it here for you again. So, Michael, you are correct. I tell everybody to start on the 2-bus first. Start with either a stereo bus compressor and or EQ, maybe, or maybe some kind of a color box, something like the SSL Fusion or something, equivalent. That's where I would start. If I had to choose, would I start with a hardware compressor or a hardware EQ? I would say hardware compressor because the hardware in hardware versus plugins, the compressors have a much bigger sound difference, in my opinion, between hardware and plugin than EQ hardware and plugin. That gap's a little bit smaller. So I would tell people if you had to choose one piece, get a stereo master bus compressor and then work your way backwards, right? So start on your master bus with a compressor and then maybe at one point, like I said, some kind of a color box or saturation or something like that. And then you work your way back to, like, say, your group channels, like, say, maybe your drum bus. Okay, maybe I want to have a drum bus compressor and a drum bus EQ, and then maybe a hardware vocal chain or something like that. But yes, definitely start on the 2-bus. That's where I tell everybody to start when you when you're first starting out going into hybrid. So yes, thanks for the question. I'm glad. Let's see. Who else? Hey, Christopher, how are you? Good to see you again. Dakota's here. How do you know how sharp the EQ curve is on the EQs? How do you know how sharp the the Q curve, excuse me, on the EQs? You mean on the hardware? Well, some of them, depending on the hardware, will have a variable Q. Like on the board, for example, on the SSL, there is a variable Q on the mid-band, the mid-freq, the low mids, and the high mids. And 12 o'clock is kind of pointy and narrow, and then you can go left to right. You can make it more narrow or less or more broad. It's not as pinpoint accurate as like a plugin would be in that respect, where you could really get the Q perfectly. But usually most hardware EQs, if there is a variable Q, they'll usually have a sweepable thing where usually 12 noon is usually, kind of a standard bell, and then and as you turn it one way or the other, it will broaden itself out. And then a lot of times I just use my ears. Okay, let's see, Mark. Hey, Mark. After watching MMA for months, I finally went out of the box with a Rupert Neve Orbit. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. That's a new piece, I think. I've tried every summing plugin and nothing compares running it through this box. Yeah, I think we've talked about these before. People asked about summing boxes and such, and there's lots of them out there. And I've used a couple in the past, and some of them are okay. But yeah, if you're looking at something like Neve or SSL or API, or you're going after the big names that make high quality gear, especially Neve. You're not gonna buy anything that doesn't sound good. Dangerous Music. I mean, there's lots of really good things. And that box will add something to that mix that you won't get in a plugin. That's for sure. Well, congratulations on that. I know that's a new unit that's out. I don't know many people that have it, but that's awesome. It says my voice is dropping out at random. I don't know what that means, losing packets. I really can't do anything about that. Maybe it's the internet. I don't know. Okay. You reloaded. Okay, maybe you have to refresh. I don't know. What do you think about the DAW like Cakewalk that works and sounds great than any other DAW? I don't know Cakewalk. People asked me about DAWs before, and I say they all sound the same. I'm convinced of that. I mean, I don't have that one, but I have Studio One, and I have Cubase, and I have Logic, and I have Universal Audio Luna. I've had and used Pro Tools, for God knows how many years. And I'm not convinced that they sound different. They're all ones and zeros. Some people will say Universal Audio Luna has a different sound engine. I don't hear that. The DAW in and of itself really doesn't have a sound, at least not enough that it really makes a difference. So whatever DAW you have that you're comfortable working with, that you like, is fantastic. I mean, Cakewalk, I'm sure, is great. I've never used it, but I'm sure it's good. And if you know how to use it, and if you're efficient using it, and you got the workflow down, then I wouldn't change. Don't change because somebody says there's a better sounding DAW, because that's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. There is a software plugin called Glow from Waves that emulates an AMSR RMX 15. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, and I think Universal Audio also makes a plugin that does that. That does that unit, if I remember right. Brian says he got a Ferrofish Plus 16. It allows you to integrate a 19-inch rack via ADAT or MADI. Oh, cool. The Ferrofish stuff is really good. That stuff just came out too. That's kind of new gear, isn't it, Brian? But I hear that stuff is really great. Again, I've never used it, but I've heard good things about Ferrofish in the past. Whoops. What is that black box sitting in the middle of your console with lights? This? That is a PreSonus fader port. Single channel fader port. Just a motorized fader if I want to do automation, but I use it mostly for transport control. So I'm not always using the keyboard spacebar. That's all it is. Just a regular old, nothing special fader port. Hi Jim, how are you? Dakota says he loves Cakewalk. Cool, man. Kurt says you're not hearing any issues with my voice. Good. I could have just been his internet, which is cool. Let's see. Jim says he received the SPL Big today. I've not tried it out yet. Yeah, I think Brian got one of those too. Oh, yeah. Oh, Brian says it's definitely better than the widening plugins. Yeah, the only wideners that I'm using right now, I have a widener on the SSL Fusion, and then I'll also use, well, I'll use the K Stereo plugin by Universal Audio, which is really not a stereo widener, but that's kind of how it acts like, and that's great. And then sometimes if I feel like I need a little more width, but usually not much, I'll use Ozone 10 and I'll use the stereo imager. That's usually enough stereo widening for me for one mix, right? Tracy says, hey, Tracy, Dave, have you ever tried the Harrison Mixbus 32C? Years ago, pardon me, Harrison reached out to me to try their DAW and do the review. Sent it to me for free. I worked with it for about an hour, and it just drove me crazy. Everything on the screen was so incredibly small. I like what they were trying to do. They're trying to lay out a console, but I don't think they did a very good job of it. But again, I have like 3 students that use it that will swear by it. I tried using it, and everything was so small on the screen, no matter what I did with the resolution. For me, it was challenging to learn. But I'm sure once you learn it, it's like anything else. So I didn't give it enough of a chance. I like their layout, as I said, but if I was going to get a DAW that was kind of laid out like that, I would use Luna by Universal Audio. They did a far better job in laying out the DAW. That's a great DAW, Luna, by the way. I have to do a follow-up video. Now that it's been a couple of years since it's been out, a lot of the things that I was complaining and moaning and groaning about when it first came out, supposedly they fixed a lot of those issues, but I haven't tried it. I have it still. I have to download the update and try it. And I'd like to do a mix in it, because the few times that I used it when it first came out from a workflow standpoint, and just I really liked it. I thought it was really good. But it was buggy at the time. It was really buggy. So now I got to try it again. Let's see here. Hey Kaiser, how are you? Good to see you. Scroll down here. What exactly is the SPL Big doing? Yeah, I know it's a widener, but how? I'm not sure. You'd have to read their website. I don't have one, so I don't know exactly what the voodoo is underneath the hood there, but it gets all the reviews I've seen of it. No one has said a bad thing about it. And some of the audio examples that I've heard on YouTube, which is always a little funky, but it sounded like it was really cool. I'd love to try one at one point, but I don't know exactly what they're doing or how they're doing it. Dakota says, do you route each tom to your SSL or send a stereo sum of your toms to your SSL? Usually it's each tom. Usually. Yeah, almost always. I'm trying to think if there's been a time in the recent past where I've actually, I don't sum them in the box. I have I have 64 faders that I can mix with, but I don't use that many. I will spread out the mix across all 32 faders as much as humanly possible. Even though I could combine stuff in the DAW and use less faders, I'd like to use all 32 as much as I can. And the reason for that is because I want to take advantage of the 32 preamps, because they all sound a little different. All the EQs sound a little different. And so the more singular tracks you run through something like a console, the more of that kind of analog flavor and color and non-linearities in the audio you're going to get. So if I don't need to comp in the box, I don't. But with tom tracks that you asked about specifically, it's always route them out. Usually it's not more than 4, right? Usually, high rack, mid, maybe 2 floors. Sometimes it's 4 toms. So I just put them on 4 tracks. Most of the time, almost all the time. Well, let's see. Ian here. Hey, Ian, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Angus is here. Hey, Angus, how are you? Hey, Dave, have you tried the TubeTech CL1B compressor analog or digital plugin? I think I tried the plugin years ago. I wasn't thrilled with it. I think it was the Universal Audio 1. But we're going back a long ways. I haven't tried it since. I've never tried the hardware, but I know it's popular. I know it's a popular compressor, but but I've never used the hardware myself. Kaiser says the SPL PQ plugin from Plugin Alliance sounds exactly like the hardware. What's the PQ plugin? What is that? Bright Sound Recording Studios. Hey, what's going on? Love your mix music. Love to mix music. However, it comes down to loss of interest. How would I come about to mix music and having an apartment where noise should be at a bare minimum? Use headphones, man. Just get a good quality set of headphones, studio headphones, and just mix in headphones. That's the key. And you can absolutely do that too, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to have big loud studio monitors if your apartment or your living situation it becomes an issue. Just use headphones, man. Just use headphones. You can absolutely do that. That's what I would tell you. That's an easy way. All right, once again, don't forget, if you're just tuning in, Mixing Hybrid, Pop Rock, links are in the chat. I think Dave threw them up there a few minutes ago. I'm sure he'll throw them up there again. We're in the middle of the pre-sale, $100 off this week only, either one of the packages. It's almost 7 hours long. You get all the audio files. You mix a song with me from start to finish in real time. And this is not like any mixing course you've ever seen, I promise you. If you find another mixing course that's even similar in style and in quality of content, please send it to me because I'd love to see it. But I don't know of anything on the market that actually doesn't just show you what we're doing and show you all the fancy knobs and stuff on the console. That's always fun. But really talking to you about the philosophy, every single decision from how to EQ, why, what compressors I'm choosing, what hardware I'm choosing, how I'm routing audio, and everything in between. You see everything from the time we load the files into the session, all the DAW prep before it comes out to the console, the whole thing. Then there's a whole section on automation. There's a whole section on what I do after the mix is done. So we're kind of role playing and we're working on a real client project. You're going to learn stuff that you've never learned in any mixing course before. I promise you. Go check it out. Save $100. You're going to dig it. And it'll be active in your account on March 1st at 12 noon Eastern. All right, let's answer more questions and we'll get back to pitching the course. Okay. Tracy says, Dave, do you spend any time writing your own songs? Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I haven't put any of it on YouTube yet. As a matter of fact, I got some things coming up soon that I'm probably going to put on YouTube in that respect. I don't want to talk too much about it. But I write music for TV and film. I don't write my own full-length songs anymore. I used to be in an original band going back to the mid 2000s. I had 2 original CDs out. But since that time, I primarily just write music cues for TV and film, and I've been doing that for, I don't know, over 10 years now. And so I write it's all instrumental stuff. So it's all like, rock, pop rock, riff rock kind of stuff. And I use things like Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer for drums. I have, guitar amps, I play bass and those kinds of things. And at one point I am going to put that on YouTube, or just maybe as I'm writing a cue or writing something for one of my libraries, just roll the camera, not even talk, and you can just see how it's done. I'm probably going to do that. I got to get around to it. But yes, I do. That's what I do. I don't write my own original full-length standard songs anymore. But thank you for asking. Bright Sound says, sadly, the only instrument I know how to play is the drums, and as much as they are a beast at noise, I'll have to figure out how to route audio from a drum machine to my 32SX, like the one you have. Oh yeah, you can route, yeah. Or you know what? You can always use something like Superior Drummer or Easy Drummer. You can use a drumming software. They sound fantastic today, the drumming software. They really, truly do sound great. They sound wonderful. But yeah, if you're a drummer, I know you want to sit behind, or what about an electronic drum kit? I know you're in an apartment, like mesh heads. I know drummers sometimes find that taboo, but that's another way you can get really good drum sounds and you can play in an apartment. Maybe that'll work for you. I know sometimes you want to create a lot of noise in a not an ideal living space. It's bad. I know. But yeah, that might be something you could try. Oh, yep, Dave's put the link back in there. Thank you, Dave. You got to make sure you use the coupon code too. The price that you see is before the discount. So take $100 off the price. When you go to checkout, there's a coupon box. Just put save 100. It'll take $100 off. Trust me. Go ahead and do that for sure. All right, how many people we got here? Okay, I got to look. All right, how many people we got on each channel? Who's winning the competition? We have 26 people at Mixing Music Analog and 16 people at Home Recording Made Easy. Come on, Home Recording Made Easy. We got to get up there. 26 people at Mixing Music Analog. Awesome. Oh, Bobby went over to the other channel and gave a thumbs up. That a boy. Home Recording Made Easy has more thumbs up, though, I will say. But this is cool. I'm glad we can stream to 2 different platforms. That gives me some ideas for some streaming stuff in the future. I'm still trying to figure out a way. I got it figured out. I just don't have all the little doohickeys and doodads that I need to make it work. But I want to be able to do some streams over here where we can actually listen to audio off the console. I could bring a mix up on the screen and we could kind of do that. There's just some rearrangement of stuff that has to be done. But I want to do that at one point because I think you guys might would you find that interesting, or you don't give a crap about that? You rather just talk and chat, which is okay too. This is easy. But running audio off the console is a little bit more challenging. But I could do it if you want to. If you want to see what that would look like, go pick up the hybrid mixing course. You would see exactly what that process is. And I got all the audio coming straight off the SSL. It sounds amazing. Kurt says, just picked up hybrid mixing presale. Thank you, Kurt. Yes, it's coming out in March. Kurt, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You're gonna love it. I'm telling you, if you've been mixing for more than a year and you're one of my intermediate or advanced level students, the guys and gals that have been following me for a while, if you're an absolute beginner, and I mean have no experience in mixing, then this course is a little bit beyond you. You want to go to Home Recording Made Easy and you want to check out Mixing Made Easy Volume 1 or Mixing Made Easy Volume 2. You want to build the foundation. EQ Made Easy, Compression Made Easy, right? Those are the core fundamentals. Once you're beyond that and you're ready to now learn more than, well, here's how we turn an EQ knob, or here's how we dial back the threshold on a compressor. When you're beyond that and you want to know more about the philosophy of mixing, and again, okay, we have 22 compressors and we're going to compress this bass guitar. Well, what compressor are we going to use, and why am I going to use that compressor on that bass guitar in this particular mix? That whole decision-making process is all verbalized and shown in great detail. That's the kind of course this is. Yes, we're mixing a song together. You're going to follow along. And even if you don't have a single piece of hardware and you're mixing all in the box, have no fear. You're going to learn a ton from this course as well, because I talk you through the entire course, what plugins you can have or you can acquire to emulate this workflow to get in the ballpark as far as the sound goes. So I spend a lot of time talking about, okay, here's how you would do such and such with plugins. Here's how I'm doing it on the console, but here's how you can do it with your plugins. So it's for both. You don't have to have all this kind of stuff to get a lot out of this course. You don't. And if you're someone that wants to start mixing for clients and making money and learning how to deal with clients and dealing with reference tracks and their wants and needs, then you absolutely want this course, because I spend a whole lot of time talking about that stuff too. So anyhow, okay, let me answer some more questions. You guys are talkative. I love it. Alrighty, let's see. Do you program your drums as Superior Drummer, or do you use SDX sound expansions and string them together? Both, but more time. If we're doing something, as I was saying earlier, for my TV and film cues, I'll usually just use the grooves and I'll string them together, because normally there's enough stock grooves and beats that's all I really need. If I was writing something very specific, I would program them, or I would play them out on a MIDI keyboard and play them in real time and then quantize them. But more times than not, I'm using the SDX sound expansions most times, because it's fast. If I was writing, full-length songs for commercial release, like my own music, then I probably wouldn't go with stock grooves. I would probably program them to be more authentic. You know what I mean? But that's how I kind of do it. All right. Do you have a favorite gear merchant? Yes, I do. Sweetwater. And I'm an affiliate of Sweetwater. So if Dave would, oh, there's Dave. He's already doing it. Thank you, Dave. See, Dave's on top of things, man. I love Dave. That is an affiliate link. So if you shop there and buy anything there, I get a small commission, but you don't pay any more for the product. And I've been buying from Sweetwater ever since I've been doing music stuff, many years. And they're the best in the business. And the reason why I think they're the best in the business, not so much because their prices are the best, although they're very competitive, but there have been times where I've seen things other places slightly less expensive, but where Sweetwater really is the best that I've ever seen is the customer service. That's really where you're getting, you have a problem with anything, these guys will step up to the plate and make things right, and they're just so knowledgeable. But their prices are also very competitive too. I even think they have price protection, meaning that let's say you were buying, I don't know, a certain guitar, same make and model you found on another website, for a few $100s less. I believe they'll match the pricing. But that's really why. So they're my favorite. I tell everybody to go there. Put that link that Dave put in the chat on your desktop, and you can use it 365 days a year. Anytime you go to Sweetwater for anything, please use that link because it does help me and it helps support what I do here. And I so appreciate the people that do that. You have no idea. And the more that you guys do that, the more Sweetwater recognizes that you guys are going there because of my channels. And then they're doing things like, I haven't told you guys yet, on Home Recording Made Easy, we're going to be doing yet another DAW control product. They sent me the Behringer X Touch. And the reason why they sent me the Behringer X Touch, because I asked them for it, because in the SSL videos and in the PreSonus videos, 5 or 6 people asked me, what about the X Touch? And I've never used it. So I called up Sweetwater and Sweetwater said, yeah, send it to me. The unboxing video goes live next week and I'm going to start hooking it up and you're going to see me use that. I'm going to show you and compare it to all the other DAW controllers. I wouldn't be able to get that gear if it wasn't for Sweetwater and you guys shopping there with my affiliate links. So I so appreciate it. So yeah, there'll be more videos coming with some more DAW controllers. I thought we were all done with DAW controllers, but I guess we're not. Kaiser says, I just learned by listening. It has never failed for me. All right, man. Whoop, I got to scroll down. Best compressor for auto-tune, trap, or vocals. Best compressor, no such thing. No such thing. No such thing. It all depends. And again, it all depends on what you're going for. The style of music almost doesn't matter. It's hard to say what's the best compressor. Here's what I'll say to you. If you want to get a good compressor and you say, I want something really good for my vocals and stuff, then again, stick with the big names. Stick with SSL, API, Neve, Audioscape. Even some of the warm audio stuff is pretty good. Some guys here in the chat have some of it. It's somewhat it's affordable. Stick with name brand stuff, and you can't go wrong. But you really want to learn more about, what type of compressor and how every compressor reacts a little differently to source material. So when someone says, well, what's the best compressor? There's no such thing. I got, I don't know, 32 compressors over here. They all do a job differently. And they all sound different on different sources, and depending on what that particular element is, how it was recorded, what kind of song it's in, what I'm trying to do from a tonality standpoint will totally depend on what compressor I use. And again, this is what I teach in the course. In this particular course, not all of my courses. Tracy said, I didn't realize you still have a slow panning camera. Ha 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 ha. Thank God my vertigo is back today. You just picked up on that, huh? Yeah, I like it. It's my new little shiny thing in the window. Oh, thanks, Dave. Dave said he's thanking Kurt for picking up the course. Yes, thanks, man. Thanks to all of you that have. a lot of you guys here that have been with me for a long time, you guys will buy everything I put out. And I know some of you probably go, I don't need another one of Dave's courses, but you do it to support what I do. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. It really does. It allows me to continue to do these things. You know, it allows me to be here and to try to help and educate and give a ton of free content away. So I do really thank you for that. And you know, and every time I put out another one of these courses, I try to make them something different and, you know, more, you know, above and beyond what I've maybe done in the past. So even if you buy all of my courses, yes, there's overlap, especially in the mixing courses because we're mixing, but you're going to learn something new and different in every single one. What I'm trying to say is I try to really make them unique to themselves. And especially with these new ones with the hardware and hybrid, I've really have gone way in more detail and have shared things with you in this course that I've never shared with any of my students at any level, even at the mixingmadeeasy.net stuff yet. I mean, I really, because you know, this was really geared more towards an intermediate, more advanced mixers, so we go more down that road. So I'm really trying to share everything I can with you guys to help you as much as I can. Jim says, board the course. Thank you, Jim. I do appreciate it, brother. You have no idea. You're the man. And you guys are going to love it, man. And tell me what you think of it once you've gone through it. Because there's going to be one more hybrid one coming later this year called Hybrid Mixing Acoustic Rock, which is cool. Which we have a totally different set of problems in that session than we do in the hybrid mixing pop that you guys just purchased. Right? So we're going to do 2 this year. There's going to be pop rock, which you just bought, and then acoustic rock coming up late summer. And that one is a killer song. I just finished it. The course is done, but it won't come out for another 4 or 5 months, 6 months. But there's a lot of problems and a lot of things we had to deal with in that course, in that song that wasn't in the other song. So I tried to pick stuff where we had a lot of teachable moments, and I think you're really going to love that one. It's awesome. But thank you again. You guys are great. Maybe my question should be, if you have only one, what compressor would it be for reggae vocals? I don't. Pick one, LA2A. I mean, 1176. Here, you want some, let me just say this. Here, let me help you. Let me try to help you this way. You want something versatile? Get an 1176. There is no more versatile compressor on the planet. You can work with any style of music, and that would be fine. An LA2A is a little bit more limited in the flexibility, but it sounds fantastic, but it sounds different. So if you want like a Swiss Army knife kind of a thing where you can use it on a bunch of different things, maybe an 1176 style would be great. That's what I would tell you. That's what I would tell you. That's what I would tell you. All right, let me scroll down here. Any more questions? What other questions you have about anything? It could be anything: gear, plug-in, setup, workflow, mixing, recording, whatever. I'm here to help you. I am here to serve as best I can. I don't know everything about everything, but I know a lot about a lot of stuff. Whoops. Let's see, we still got a ton of people here? I think we do. Let's see, how many people we got here now? Yeah, we got about 38 people between the 2 channels. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You guys are great. 25 thumbs up. Thumbs up are kind of even now between the 2 channels. Gotta love that. What else you guys got? Come on, ask me. You got me here for a little bit longer. And then the night will be over. But this is a cool test. This is great. Okay, I'm glad this is working. I'm glad we're able to go to both channels. We could even go to Facebook Live. I may have to try a third one at one point. Braxel says, I thought the Imperial Labs Distressor was very versatile. Another very versatile compressor. I have 2 of them. They're great. Those are great as well. Very versatile, very Swiss Army knife-ish, if you will, for sure. Bobby Booth is moving back and forth between the 2 channels. Yeah, the distressor is another one that's a very versatile compressor. Extremely versatile. For sure. Absolutely. But an 1176 is also as well. So, yeah, either one of those I think would be perfect for anything you want to do with it. The Stavroon. Hey, how are you? Did you find that mixing on a console was worth it as opposed to mixing in the box? Without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, every day and twice on Sunday. There is absolutely no comparison between the two workflows. Zero comparison. Um, for me, again, it's just my opinion, but I've mixed in the box for years, and I still do when I do training courses. I don't mind mixing in the box, um, but it is nowhere near as fun as mixing on a console to me. It's just, yeah, and the sound is unbelievable. It's way different than working in the box. So yeah, so I love it. But mixing in the box is totally fine too. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you had to choose, if I had to choose one or the other, it would be this every single day, without a shadow of a doubt. It's a lot of fun. Okay, yeah, you guys are giving them some cool recommendations on some compressors. That's cool. Yeah, the Blackline Audio is yeah. Dave's got that Blackline Audio 172, which is an 1176 and an LA2A in one box. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea because then you have an LA2A and you have an 1176 all in one unit. You could pick either one, or you could run one into the other, I believe. And I know Dave really likes that one. What is a good tape emulator analog gear? Neve 542s. That's what I have, and I love them. There's other ones out there. I don't know of any. I've never really used any of the other ones, but the Neve 542 porticos, you can't go wrong. They just sound great, and they're super versatile too. They could be very subtle, or they could be very, hyped if you want to run them that way, or anything in between. And so I love those things. I just think they sound just great, just great. Even when you push them really hard, they don't, the mix doesn't fall apart. It adds something. I wouldn't say it's subtle when you push them really hard. It's more than subtle, but you can use it from 0 to 10 and anything in between. There's no unusable settings on those pieces. So that's what I would tell people. Let's see. Out of the three Audioscape 1176 type compressors, which do you like the most? The 76A? I like the 76. I find myself using the 76F more than the 76A, but I use the 76A more than the 76D. And then I find that I'm using all three of those more than I use the Blackline Audio Bluey. So I have four 1176s. The 76A, 76F, 76D, all by Audioscape, all sound pretty different from each other. And then the Blackline Audio Bluey, which is its own animal. If you look on the Mixing Music Analog channel, David S.J. and myself, we did a whole video on the three Audioscape compressors. The A, the F, and the D. I find myself, though, using the F more than the A. Don't know why, I just like the way it sounds. But all three of them are great. They're all really good. But that's what I find. Let's see. What is my favorite preamps for recording drums? Hey Jerome, how are you? Right now, I'm getting ready to start doing a bunch of YouTube drum recording content, as well as a recording drums course, probably later in the summer. And we're going to record drums through a few different sets of preamps. We're going to record them through a PreSonus Studio Live, which is a basic, clean, transparent preamp. We're going to record it to the SSL as well. And so when I don't record a lot of acoustic drums here. I'm going to for this course, but I don't typically record live drums here. When I used to record drums in studios back in the day, the ones that we used to use a lot were APIs. We used to use the API preamps a lot on drums, and those always sounded really good. I'm really interested to know what it sounds like on these SSL preamps. That's coming soon, very soon, probably in the next 1 to 2 months. But yeah, so in a home studio, I know drummers that use APIs. I also know drummers that use the Warm Audio Neves. I don't remember what they're called. Are they called the WA73, the 1073 clones? I know a couple of drummers in Nashville that swear by those. I'm not a huge Warm Audio fan, but I know lots of people that are, and these cats are, and they love them. So enough of them have told me that I would say that's probably a safe bet, and they're affordable. If you can get some real 1073s, I would do that, but they're pretty pricey. How well does a typical SSL channel strip, let's say the Waves one, fare against the real deal in terms of sound? Thanks for answering. I'm doing great. Cool. They're in the ballpark. They're in the ballpark. Are they as the same as this thing? No, they're not. And I have every SSL channel strip plugin made, or unless a new one has come out in the last year, I have all of them. I've used them all. I've used them all in a lot of our mixingmadeeasy.net content from our members. A lot of them sound really good, the Waves ones included. None of them sound exactly like this. They just don't. They just don't. How close are they? 70%, maybe 80%. They sound good, but they don't sound like a real console. They just don't. So then that's just being honest. They sound good, but they don't sound like the real thing. They just don't. Let's see. Have you ever heard of the Demator tube microphone preamps? I have the VT-MP2. I don't think I've ever heard of that. It doesn't ring a bell. But you haven't? You say it's awesome? That's cool. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Never heard of that. It's interesting. Never heard of that. Let's see. Did I miss anything up here? Oh, I think I'm at the bottom. Oh, cool. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? This is really cool. This is really cool. What other YouTube video ideas for either one of the channels do you guys have for me? What are you looking for that you haven't seen that I've done yet? Or maybe I did it and you just don't know it. What other kind of videos are you looking for? I mean, like I said, we got some more DAW controller videos. We have some more gear videos, hardware over here, mixing music analog. We have recording videos for drums and acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars, one of them goes live tomorrow at Home Recording Made Easy. We're going to, like I said, we're going to be doing some drum recording videos. We're going to do some stuff where we work with the Presonus Studio Live from a recording capacity here in the studio, show people how to use that. Pretty basic, but just showing people, some of the features and how you can use that. Let's see. Tortilla Man says mixing to tape. Well, I don't have a tape machine. If I had one, we would do a video like that. I got the 542s in its place. There was a time where I was about a year ago, I was looking at a tape machine. I was really close to buying one too. But they're to get a refurbished one, to get one in really good shape, they're very expensive. And I just didn't pull the trigger. I think at one point, I probably will. I probably will at one point. It won't be this year, but at one point I will. I will. So stay tuned to the mic, to the channel. You'll have to see. Let's see. Do the Game Labs EQ video. I'm going to. I'm waiting for David S.J. to come up again before we're going to do that one together. I've only used it on a few mixes. I want to get a little more familiar with it, but I will do it. It's on the list. I promise. It's on the list. More as well, mic demos. Yes, Jimmy, those come, actually tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday? Tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to see the 3 Roswell, the Mini 87, the K87, the K47, and the K67 on acoustic guitar. The video goes live, I believe it's tomorrow. And then I also got some other Roswell mics that he sent me for when we do our drum recording. He gave me a snare mic, he gave me a kick drum mic, he gave me some tom mics, and he gave me a couple of stereo pairs for overheads and rooms. So we do have and I'll tell you what, man, you know, spoiler alert, for the money, I don't know that I've heard a better microphone for the money. And I mean that. And they didn't give me the microphones. All the microphones have to go back. They didn't pay me for the video. I don't get the gear. I have to send them back. They're on loan. So I'm not just telling you that. I mean, the U87, I believe, is $450. I mean, they sound a lot more expensive. You know, like you would think when you hear these microphones that it's a $1,500 microphone, and it's not. So I can't imagine that anybody would either get the 87 or the 47 and not like it. I just can't believe that. Can't believe it. They're really good, man. They're really good, Jimmy. If, you know, for $400, you can't go wrong. And I think I want to say the 47's like less than 400. I want to say it's 380 or something like that. And the 87's like 430. Now they do make a couple of tube microphones, which I don't have, that are up around that $1,200 to $1,500 mark. But they're K Mini series. They're out of sight for the money. They are. Braxel said, I saw the unboxing, but I want to see it in use. Oh, you mean the Gain Lab? Yeah, it's coming. You guys are gotta be patient. It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming. Tyler. Hey, Tyler. How are you? Why would you recommend the PreSonus Studio Live? Well, here's the thing about the Studio Live. It's an all-in-one box. So if you're working in the box, right, and you're recording, you know, stuff in your studio, or if you're going live and recording bands, or, you know, using it in a mixing live, you know, performances, it's got everything in it. I mean, it's an audio interface. Depending on which one you buy, you can have up to 32 preamps in it. It's got plugins built in it. It does DAW control to some degree on it. You know, it's everything from mixing, recording, audio interface. I mean, it's got everything you could want in it. And it's high quality stuff. It's built really well. You can multi-track record right on an SD card. As far as a live mixer goes, I've used many of them live. It's the best live mixer I've ever used, hands down. And I've used a few of them. So that's why I would recommend it. If you're looking for an all-in-one solution in your studio, like you need it, you don't want to have a separate interface and a separate mixer and a separate this and a separate that. This is all in one box. It is a really good piece of gear. It really, truly is. The DAW control is probably the weakest feature of that mixer, and I just finished up some videos, a few weeks ago on the channel at Home Recording Made Easy. DAW control, it works. The faders will control your DAW. Basic transport, you know, some basic functions. You can program some of the soft keys to do shortcuts, so you don't have to use your keyboard. That's true. The plug-in control is kind of janky. But most of these DAW controllers, the plug-in control is lousy, and the Studio Live isn't really any different as far as that goes. But the touch screen and everything else, it's a nice mixer. It is. So that's why I would recommend it. It really depends on what you need, and if you're looking for an all-in-one box, it's a good all-in-one box. Kaiser says, what do you think about UAD going native? I'm not surprised. I said that 3 years ago. I said sooner or later you're not going to need their hardware, and now you don't. And Luna is going to be native as well soon, if it's not already. I think they have to do that. You got to remember, when UA got into the game of plugins, they were one of the first and the only one that was making emulations of the old classic gear on the PCIe cards way back then, when computers were so slow that you couldn't run plugins on an internal. You couldn't run them natively. And this is long before, you know, Slate Digital was in the game, and Plugin Alliance and all these other companies. I think one of the only other ones that might have been around at the time was Waves. And that was before Waves was doing things like the Abbey Road collection and all the classic gear. And so Universal Audio, they were one of the first, and they had, for the longest time, they had the reputation of having the best plugins in the business, and they still make fantastic plugins. But now with the technology and the speed of the computers and the processors, and all these companies have popped up making plugins, and they all do a really good job of them, Universal Audio was kind of losing ground, because why would you buy Universal Audio when you had to buy the hardware, when you could buy Plugin Alliance, Slate Digital, FabFilter, or any of these other ones where you don't need that? And they would sound equally as good for the most part, right? So I think it was just, they had no choice but to go native, and now you could buy all their plugins native, which is great. Their plugins are still pretty pricey. I still think they're overpriced for what they are. I think now someone said, I don't know if it's true, maybe you would know, Kaiser, I hear they now are offering a subscription plan, much like Plugin Alliance and Slate Digital, like an all access thing. I don't know much about it because I own all their plugins already, or most of them. But if they don't have a subscription yet, they will. And when they do, they're gonna have to compete with everybody else. But Universal Audio has always made really good stuff. But that doesn't surprise me that they've gone native. Not even a little. How about your audio interfaces? I've heard people swear by the differences that an upgrade made to their setup. Do you find that the better quality audio interface will impact your playback system too? Depends on the interface. Depends on what it is. Is there a difference between a $99 interface and a $2,000 interface? Of course there is. But once you get up around, that $1,000, $1,500 plus mark, I think at that point it's all what features come with what particular interface. The converters today are very good on all of them, even the less expensive ones. I don't think that makes as much of a difference as people think. We did a couple of shootouts here on the channel not too long ago, and we couldn't hear the difference between the converters. But yeah, I mean, a $99 or $129 or $249 audio interface is not going to have the quality of a $2,000 interface typically, right? That makes sense. So I think, there is something to be said. Where do you get to the, point of diminishing returns? I don't know. Again, that's open for debate. Like, I've always used everything from PreSonus interfaces to Universal Audio interfaces. They've always been great. I've never had problems with any of them. So I think it depends on what you currently have and what you're planning on upgrading to. Like, I've had students ask me who have the little audio box by PreSonus. They got their $150 interface or $99 interface, and it came bundled with some software. And they would ask me, well, should I buy the next PreSonus interface, which is like $100 more? Is that going to be better than the one that I have? No, not at that point. It's not. You have to make a pretty big jump at that point. So I hope that answers your question. Jerome says he has warm audio pre's. Oh, you have to try the warm audios. Yeah, Jimmy likes those. He has those. I have enjoyed the 2 hybrid mixing in MME. Are you going to do any this year? No. That was those were really just practice runs for the course. The course is way more in depth than those 2 were. No, because most of our members are all in the box, and they want to stay in the box, and that's totally fine. Most of my students at Mixing Music or MixingMadeEasy.net are all plugin, guys. So there's no plans to do that. Like I said, if you want to learn, if you want that kind of a course, the hybrid mixing course is why that is there. Oh yeah, Dave's put in a reminder. And yep, one more reminder, guys. Again, go the pre-sale. It ends this week. Save $100. Get the course. It goes live into your account on March 1st, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And you'll have full access to it. You can watch it on the website. You can download it. There's a whole bunch of goodies. And if you bought the Pro package, you get a whole bunch of bonuses in the Pro package. Whole bunch of bonuses. Like $400 worth of bonuses. More than what the course costs. So yes, go check it out. Hey Dave, is it good the Apollo Solo? I have it. Should I record in 96 or 32-bit? Give me 96K 32-bit, or what interface should I get? The Apollo Solo is great. The Universal Audio Apollo Solo is talking about it. Great interface. If you only need 2 inputs, it's fine. You can record in 96K. Just realize the file sizes are bigger. I usually record everything at 48. But I know people that will, again, they'll listen to 44, 48, 88, 96, 192, and they swear they hear the difference. I've listened to some of those things. I don't know. I usually record everything at 48K. It's fine for me. But yeah, the Solo is a great interface. It's inexpensive. The Solo means you have some DSP in there for the plugins, but now that we were just talking about it, you don't need to worry about that because you could just buy the plugins natively. And the preamps are nice and clean. They sound really good. It's a nice little desktop unit. As a matter of fact, the video that I'm doing tomorrow for the Roswell microphones, I recorded all of those through the Apollo Solo right into Studio One. They sound great. Jimmy says the Roswell mics are the stuff. For real. They are. They're good stuff. They are. They really, really are. They are. Are they the best microphones on the planet? Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, again, for what they cost, I think you would really be hard pressed to find a better quality built, better sound quality than those Roswell mics. For less than $500? No. Nope. They don't have a real shrill top. Usually cheap, large diaphragm condenser microphones, the number one thing that I always found to be problematic with those is the top end. They're usually very shrilly, very kind of bitey on the top. These are very smooth, like a high-end condenser microphone. I don't know how they do it. But I think if you bought one, you would be like, whoa, these things are great for the money. They really are. Tracy says, I think I see a 2-channel Mara in your future. A 2-inch. Nope, I had a 1/4 inch on a PO. That was the tape machine I was going to buy. And at the last minute, I decided not to because it was just too much money at that particular time. It was too much money. But I would love to I would love to have one. I would at one point. I would love to have one. I would. I think at one point, I probably will have one. I just don't know when. I just don't know when that point is. But boy, I would love to have one. I know David S.J. wants me to buy one too. He can't wait to come in here and play with it. I want to have one. I have the Neve tape emulators, and it's a mix of mild EQ, mild compression, mild distortion, all mixed into one. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it could be more than mild too. It could be really kind of nasty if you want it to be. But that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And they really do sound good. They really do. Go on YouTube and see if you could find anyone that says anything negative about those units. You can't find anybody that does. Do you like Telefunken? I don't have any experience with them, but again, they make very high-end microphones and a lot of really cool, I know their vintage preamps are very sought after as well, but I don't have any personal experience with them. But they're another brand that you won't find too many people that will tell you that Telefunken doesn't make great stuff. Let's see. Any more pre-Sonus Studio Live videos coming? Yeah, for the recording side. Yeah, Jerome. For the recording side when we get to the drums. Yeah, we're going to record the microphones through the Studio Live onto the SD card and then also into Studio One on a computer. And then we're going to record those same microphones through an SSL and we're going to compare them. Yeah, I got a whole list, a whole page of drum videos comparing the recording and the preamps from that to the SSL. And then I'll also, in those videos, I'll give kind of a basic 101. Here's how you set up the Studio Live to record if no one's ever used one before. But yeah, we're going to do that. There'll be some more Studio Live videos coming shortly. I'm looking to get a good vocal mic and one for acoustic guitar. There are so many options, cannot decide. Check out the Roswell audio stuff. Wait till tomorrow, watch the video where I do the acoustic guitar. All three of those microphones sound a little different, but they all sound great on acoustic guitar. Any one of those microphones would sound fantastic on vocals as well. So check those out. Check out the K87 or the K47. Although the K67X I really liked on the acoustic, more so than the other two. But any one of those three would sound great. And again, they're very affordable. They're very affordable. They sound way more expensive than what they are. Ed, did you try any Acoustica plugins? I think some of them are next level. Yeah, everyone asks, a lot of people ask me that. And the answer is there was a time, maybe it's a couple of years now, I went out to their website, tried to demo their stuff, and I hated them. It wasn't that I hated the sound of them. I'll be honest. I didn't like the interface. I didn't like the website, the knobs, whatever plugins I tried. A couple of channel strips, I think, at the time. The controls are really small, very fiddly. I just didn't find, I didn't get on with them. But this is going back a few years. But a lot of people say they're great. I also hear they're CPU hogs too. I don't know if that's true. David S.J. used to have them and he sold them. And David used to say a lot of, maybe you could chime in, Dave, on what you thought about that. I know he had a bunch of them and he liked them and then he sold them. So I haven't tried them. Maybe at one point again. I don't know how they're any better than something else that's out. I don't know which one is so great that no one else makes anything that even compares. That plugin I would try. But just to buy another reverb or another compressor, is it any better than all the other ones that are out there? I find that hard to believe. But maybe they do have a magic plugin in their bundle I'm just not aware of. I don't know. GMB, hey, what's going on? What do you think of the Behringer Wing in the studio? I've never tried one. I did talk to Sweetwater about a Behringer Wing. There might be an opportunity at one point for them to send me one to kind of compare it to the Studio Live. But I want to wait until I do the X-Touch stuff first, because I only brought that in here because enough of you have asked me about it in the comments when we were doing the SSL UF8. Get the X-Touch, get the X-Touch. I'm not a fan of Behringer stuff. I never have been. Many years ago, I used some of their stuff and it was garbage. Now, it's been years. When I unboxed this X-Touch, I was surprised on how the build quality was pretty good. So I want to see how that integrates and how that works before I go down the rabbit hole of a wing. But there might be an opportunity at one point to get a wing in here. There might be. There might be. I've talked to Sweetwater about it. We have discussed it. But maybe. Let's see. Jimmy says, I bought the Pro package. Oh, man, thank you, Jimmy. Thanks you, brother. Due to having overinflated... Thank you so much, my friend, Jimmy. I really do appreciate it. You're the best. You're going to love it, Jimmy. I'm telling you. You're going to love it. Ask David S.J. He's already seen it. You're going to love it. Let's see. Kaiser said, I tried using UAD Sparks for 3 months and I couldn't get a good mix with their plugins. Really? Maybe it had something to do with their algorithm not being unison. I wasn't convinced. Okay. Yeah, that's surprising. I've never had anybody say to me they couldn't get good mixes with UA plugins. But you know what, man? There's so many plugins out there and you got to find ones that kind of, resonate with you. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you didn't get on with them, then you shouldn't buy them, right? It's kind of like the Acoustica thing, man. I'm not a fan of their stuff, but people swear by it. So who am I to say they're not wrong, But I'm not wrong either. It's just I couldn't get along with those plugins. But other people do. And it's the same thing with UA. Maybe you just couldn't get on with them, but many people do. So yeah, if it wasn't for you, it's not for you. There's so many good plugins out there today, man, that you can get good mixes if you know what you're doing. You really can, I still say that the number one, if I had to pick one plugin package that's the best bang for the buck, I still say it's the Slate Digital All Access Pass or Everything Bundle or whatever he calls it these days. I still say that is the best bang for buck that you could get. All their plugins are great. I love that stuff. I've been using it for years. But that's just me. Jimmy says get a 2-inch 24-track Studer. Yeah, okay. Uh, I don't. Well, I could tell you. I could tell you that particular machine's not going to happen. The other machine, maybe at one point, but a 24-track Studer. I don't have 24 tracks that I need to record on. What am I going to do with a 24-track Studer? I'm not a commercial recording studio. The CPU usage depends on which one you try. Something like the Aaron or their mastering EQs. Oh, you must be talking about Acoustica. You know, one of these days I'll circle back around and I'll try one. I'll try one. I don't know if you can you still demo their stuff. I think I tried to demo their stuff, and maybe that's if I could demo it, I'll try something. Because enough of you ask me, I get asked about every time we're live. Someone asks me about Acoustica plugins. Wouldn't it be something if I tried it and I really liked it? Dave, which of the 500 rack box is best to house your 500 series units? Well, the ones that I use ones by Wes Audio. One of them calls the Super Carrier because it has 11 slots, not 10. And the other one is called the Titan. But I have used the Neve, AMS Neve ones that are really good. And I don't know because I haven't tried everything that's out there. But this is what I was told from people at Sweetwater when I first got into 500 series, because I was looking at API lunch boxes, which I know are very popular. And I was also looking at stuff that was more affordable. I think Midas, there were a couple other ones that you could get a 10 slot for like $600, $500. And then you could buy a 10 slot like a Neve that's like $1,000. And the difference between those two kind of price points for the same amount of slots, what I was told is all in the power supply and in the noise level, or lack thereof. That they say the cheaper ones tend to, depending on the modules you put in, could be noisy. Some of them that have the internal power supply and not an external one can have noise problems when you get the modules closer physically to where the power supply is located in the chassis. And they told me if you want trouble-free, noise-free, at that time they said go with either the Neve or the Wes Audio stuff, and I did, and I have two of them, and they're dead silent, never a problem, and I love them. A 10 slot's around the $1,000 to $1,200 for a rack. But you can buy a 10 slot rack for about $500 to $600 depending on the brand, and maybe some of those are really good, and maybe someone here has got them and they don't have any issues. But I was told by people that sell these things all day long that the cheaper ones sometimes can have problems with them. So what I would tell you is if you're going to buy a rack that's going to house 10 modules in it, don't cheap out on the rack. You know what I mean? You don't want to put $1,000 modules into a cheap rack that's going to have all kinds of noise and issues. So that's what I would tell you. David says that he started to feel that Acoustica was too precious with their GUIs and they were system hogs. I've heard they're system hogs. I think you're the one that told me that. And didn't give me enough advantage over the mainstream plugins. Okay. Yeah, and I say David had a bunch of them. He used to be a pretty good fanboy of them. And then he dumped them. So it's interesting. Jimmy switching back and forth between the channels too. That a boy. Dave, do you have the earliest band or album inspired? Do you have an earliest band or album that inspired you to get playing instruments and recording music? Oh, do I have? Oh, what bands inspired me to get into music? Well, my favorite music is from the 70s. And so my favorite bands, 70s and early 80s, you know, the bands that inspired me to play music long before I was an engineer were Led Zeppelin is my favorite band of all time. You know, the standards, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Deep Purple, Aerosmith, huge Aerosmith fan. Seen Aerosmith many, many times live. And then in the early 80s, you know, Van Halen, obviously. Joe Satriani. I've met Joe a few times too. Very sweet man, Joe Satriani. Hell of a guy. And so those are the kind of classic rock. ZZ Top, another one. Allman Brothers. Those bands were the ones that inspired me to become a musician and to become a guitar player. And then as I, started getting, a little bit older and, realized I wasn't going to be a pro level musician, I started getting interested in engineering. And then I started listening to music from an engineering point of view that were just like, some of the stuff that's, that's well renowned as like, fantastic mixes, stuff by like Steely Dan, stuff like that, where the mixes just sound unbelievable. Dire Straits, stuff like that. And so, yeah. So that those are the bands and the artists that inspired me. Jimmy says, does Spark get you all the UAD plugins like a mega bundle? No, I don't think, Jimmy, got to check. When it first came out, no, they only had, I don't know, a dozen maybe of their plugins that were native. Now they're all native, but I don't know now if Spark gets you all of them. I don't know if they have bundles. Someone told me that they did. I haven't been on their website in a bit, so I'm not sure. But when Spark first came out, you didn't get all the plugins. There was only like 10 or 12 of them, actually. But that's coming. I mean, if you don't think you're going to pay one monthly fee or one annual fee and get access to all their plugins, that is coming. I would be sure of that. Ed says, I feel Acoustica plugins have a consistent sound quality to them that makes them sound more analog than other emulations. Okay. That said, they do have their quirks. Okay. You're not the first one to say that to me, so I'll take your word for it. Kaiser says that he canceled his subscription to UAD. Cool. You're sticking with SSL Native, great plugin package, Waves, and Plugin Alliance. Yep, you got everything you need. You don't need anything else. You could actually probably dump two out of those three, and you probably would still be just fine. Which PreSonus Studio Live that you recommend for the studio? Well, it depends how many inputs you want. They have 3 or 4 models now. The one I have in the studio here is the 32SX. I wouldn't get the SX because if you're going to use it for DAW control, there is some, if you go watch my likes and dislikes video, I explain the difference. I think that one's called the 64S. I think it's a 64S or 64C. That would be the one that I would get for the studio if you really wanted to take as much advantage of DAW control as you could. That's the one. I don't know that I would recommend the 32SX for the studio. For the most part, the mixers are the same, but there's a couple of little features that the 64 has that the 32 doesn't that makes it more conducive to DAW control. So that's why. But again, they're always changing them. They're always coming out with new versions of that thing. So you got to go to their website, compare features for feature, because they change them all the time. Hey, Zona, how are you? I have a 2-track reel-to-reel in my studio. Sounds great, but you don't always use it. Yeah, I know. You're another guy with a tape machine that I really want to get one. I think Dave needs some more thumbs up on this stream. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, a couple of people gave me thumbs down already. There's always a couple that don't like me. That's okay. Hey, even if you don't like me, I like you. It's okay. I can't make everybody happy all the time. I try, when it's impossible. Can't make everybody happy. Kaiser says you get 23 plugins for a $20 subscription. Oh, UAD. Yeah, I don't know that I would spend $20 or 23 plugins. I guess it would depend on the 23 plugins, Kaiser. Oh yeah, Dave's reminding everyone about the pre-sale on the hybrid mixing course. Okay, make sure, hybrid mixing, links in the description box. Save $100 this week only. You're going to love the course, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I wouldn't lie to you. If you bought any of my courses in the past and you like those, you're going to like this. Trust me. Trust me. And eventually we'll do another record. I have a basic recording course for Studio One for beginners. We'll do a more intermediate, a more proper recording course soon too, maybe with the SSL at 1.2. We'll do that. I mean that's getting a little ambitious, but we'll do that. Braxel says, I don't see anything wrong with you. You are very genuine. Yeah, I know. There's always some people that don't like me. That's okay. That's okay. Hey man, if you're in the internet game and you're in the YouTube game, there are going to be people that are not going to like you no matter what you do. And that's okay. If I help most of you and most of you enjoy what I do and you get something out of what I'm trying to share with you, then that's all that matters. And all those other people's, they're not happy with anybody. That's okay. Did you check the Mac DSP outboard analog processing box? I haven't. You know, someone else asked me about that once. Forgot the name, the green one. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't tried it. You know, and that's another plugin company that I've never been interested in, Mac DSP. But again, the few people that I know that use it all say great things about their stuff. I don't know if I tried one of their plugins once, and it's like, it didn't do anything for me. But that green box, I don't know what it is, but they do have a DSP box, much like the UAD kind of stuff. All their plugins run on it, but I've never used it. Jerome says, we learn a lot from you. Great. I'm glad. I try to really teach a lot of stuff here. I really do. I hope I'm helping all of yous, or most of yous. Tracy says, Dave, 4 years ago, I drove 4 hours to Pennsylvania to pick up an excellent reel-to-reel tape machine. Still mixing down to this day. I know. Stop telling me about these tape machines. One of these days, you're going to see one in here. I'm going to blame all of you for making me buy one. I'm trying. I will eventually get one because I want to try it. I want to try it. See, the problem with a tape machine, again, I know you could still get tape and stuff, and I don't think it's very expensive. I looked at some tape. It wasn't too expensive. I just fearful that I wouldn't use it all the time. I feel like the novelty would wear off, and I wouldn't. And then what do I do with this big thing? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I want to try it, then I want to give it back if I don't want to keep it. That's the problem. See, tape, you buy a piece of 500 hardware, you don't like it, you can flip it pretty quickly. Try flipping a tape machine. That's, once you own it, you're in. When you're in, you're in. You got to go all in. I just don't know that I can do that yet. I don't know. Maybe one day. We'll see. Jimmy says tape is overrated. Nah. That's what I'm going to keep telling myself. Tracy says ATR tape novelty won't wear off. You're probably right. Hey, I bought a console. If I could buy a console, I could buy a tape machine, right? Yeah. One day maybe. We'll see. We'll see. All right. We have any other questions? Anything else I can help you guys with? I mean, I'm so glad you guys are here and you're talkative. It's funny. I said this the last time. When I don't schedule these things and I just show up, you guys are a lot more into it and a lot more people show up than when I schedule them and we have a specific thing we're going to do. Nobody shows up. But every so often I just jump on here and want to talk to you and you guys are cool and that's great. So if you guys, like that, once a month or whatever, I'll just pop on and, see what you guys are doing. Hey, good morning, host. Hey, good morning. I would not go to tape. All that storage of tapes, they get old and you have to bake them and to get the stuff off of them. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really cool for a while, I just don't know how much I would use it. Like, I'd love to run the mix out of the console to the tape, then back into the dog. You know what I mean? Does that tape sound different than like the Neve? Well, I know it's going to sound different. I just wonder how different, what's the difference? I'd like to hear the difference between mixing through a real tape as opposed to going through something like the Neves. I'm sure they both sound great. It's just a matter of they're going to sound a little different, certainly. But it would be interesting. It would be cool. I know it would be cool. Mix to the tape and then master to the hard drive. Yeah. Yeah, so you print the mix on the tape, right? And then you send it from the tape back into the hard drive. That would be the way to do it. I'm sure it'd be cool. I'm sure it would be really cool. I wonder too, though, even if I was going to buy a fully restored one, I always worry about the maintenance on something like that too. I guess it depends on how much you use it. If you don't really use it too much, you probably don't have a ton of maintenance to do. But there's a lot of moving parts, man. A lot of mechanical things going on in a tape machine. Oh, I don't know. Jimmy says that he got a bunch of stuff from his early 90s, man. Transferred the original multi-tracks. And then quite frankly, I get just as good a sound here at home. Oh, yeah, you transferred them. Yeah, you transferred them to digital, right? That's what you did. Zona said tape is just another tool. Yeah, it's a cool tool. If you ever go to tape, try getting the ATR 102 Ampex. Yeah. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. It ain't happening this year. That much I can tell you. There's no way it's happening this year. But who knows, right? Who knows what could happen next year? You just don't know. Something could happen. You just don't know. All right, man. So what time is it? It's getting about 8:30 here. We've been on here about an hour and a half. Everything seems to be still running really well, which is great. We're going on the 2 channels, which is awesome. I want to thank you guys so much, man. Thank you so much for coming out and just hanging out with me tonight. And thanks for asking me all these questions. I really enjoy answering them for you. And once again, make sure you check out the Mixing Hybrid course. I think you're really going to love it. You still got a couple of days. If you're on my email list at Home Recording Made Easy, there'll be a couple more reminder emails, but the sale does end at the end of the week. So definitely take it. If you're thinking about it, save $100. I mean, hell, I'd love you to wait till it went off sale and buy it at full price, but don't do that. Save $100. That's why I'm putting it on sale for a week, to give everybody an opportunity. So yeah, definitely check it out. Every season brings a new piece of gear for the studio. Yeah. Every season is more than one piece of gear for this studio. Trust me, every season it seems like there's half a truckload of stuff showing up here. But I'll tell you what, for hardware, there are very few pieces out there now that I really want to get. I think I'm pretty much good on 90% of everything that I have. That's the one thing that I will not allow myself, is to have too many options. So I'm pretty good for hardware. There's a couple of things here or there maybe at one point, but I'm pretty dialed in. I think so, man. Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, man. I'll definitely come and we'll do this again. This was an excellent stream and a chat. This is one of the better ones we've done in a long time. So again, thank you everybody for joining me. Go check out the Mixing Hybrid course. Get on the email list at Home Recording Made Easy if you haven't done so already. And stay tuned. Make sure you like and share and subscribe and do all that stuff, because it does. It helps me tremendously. And lastly, put that Sweetwater affiliate link on your desktop, and anytime you need to buy anything, if you buy with that link, I thank you in advance. It means the world to me. You guys are great. Thank you for your support. And we'll get back on here in a few more weeks, I promise. We'll do another one of these early evening live streams. Okay? Talk to you later, everybody. See ya.